So, my first question, would you say that reading is important to your family? And what does it look like in your family?
Yes, it is important. I would say that it is important. What does that look like? I think...
Every night our kids get books read to them.
Yeah.
At that
Awesome.
time. And Lucy and Simon with schoolwork, they get read to them.
Yeah.
And Mandy reads a lot. She's constantly reading a book in front of the kids or
Yeah.
around them.
Awesome.
Both of us enjoy reading, and so they see us reading either, books of our own and...
Not so much me, more of Mandy.
Yeah. Well, you read other things like the internet or a computer or like before newspapers or magazines too. Before you were doing more of that, and I think books are available to them. Books that they can manage are available to them. So
Awesome. That's wonderful. I was just going to ask you, do you enjoy reading and how you model? So that's perfect. What does a typical afternoon or evening look like when the kids get home from school? As far as like homework or, snack, like how does your order of your evening tend to work?
Usually when they come home from school, it's a snack, and then they usually will watch like a TV show or something like that for a little while and play, and then dinner, and then after dinner it's kind of a down family time.
Awesome.
And then before they go to bed, we'll read a book and
Good.
stuff like that. So it tends to be what it...
They don't
In
stay up
general.
they don't stay up very late, so they're usually in bed by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, they go to bed between 7:30 and 8, so...
Awesome.
Kind of a quicker evening.
Yeah. Makes for an easier morning though too when
Yes.
we get to bed. Good time.
Yeah, we usually do homework in the morning because they wake up
Okay.
so much earlier, and I think with Lucy's at a full day of kindergarten, and so when she gets home, she's kind of tired and down, so we
That's a good
usually do
idea.
her
I like that.
we do her book in the morning. So
Do your children tend to enjoy reading and writing? Aw. Sweet.
they do, yeah. They've always... Simon's playing on the computer. Can you see the computer? All of them enjoy, have always been kind of interested in letters and words, and have always shown a high interest in that, and like Simon, as he's been learning high frequency words in preschool, we'll want to point them out in books that we're reading and things like that. And Lucy's been the same way, like even before, they were reading, like, making letters with their French fries, or just doing little things like that. They have this natural interest in books and letters and how words work. So,
Can you think of any like neat or funny things that your kids have said like throughout the course of their language development? If not, that's okay. But sometimes people have funny stories about. Or can you pinpoint like a milestone in one of your children's development? Like you could tell that they were, I don't know. That's a hard question, so if you don't know, that's okay.
I feel like I just had an example of like the other day Simon was, like with homonyms, like, you know what I mean, like, and so I can't remember what it was though, but it was an example. There was one. It was funny. We were on the bike path one time, and it was a while ago. Simon was probably 3, I would guess, and he, always been very inquisitive, asking questions, and he was asking me what the road was called, or what it was made out of, and I said, well, it's called Blacktop, and he's like, Mom, it's not Blacktop, it's Black Down. And so something like that was kind of, he was trying to
figure it out and make sense of it.
Yeah, he's like, it's down, it's not, Black Top, it's Black Down.
Oh, that's great.
So that was good.
Yeah. Is there anything that your children's teachers have done or not done in their language and literacy development that you've either really liked or really not liked?
What have you liked about Joanne? not liked.
About Julian. Well,
So our daughter Lucy is going to a tutor since she was 2.
Okay.
yeah.
Who specializes with helping kids with Down syndrome read.
Okay.
And she does a lot of
Sight words.
sight words and a different method than you would normally go. But it's really worked well for Lucy, though.
Yeah, and so it's been interesting to see her. You know, she wasn't relying as much on comprehension or, you know, like using the first letter to figure, you know, using comprehension and using the first letter to figure out the word. She was more taught whole word at the beginning, and so, which I felt like gave her a good kind of point to go from since she's been in kindergarten. But now that Lucy's getting to, she's in kindergarten, is reading level B books right now. And I'm noticing occasionally, like she has her kindergarten high frequency words pretty much mastered. But because she has a difficulty being able, like, because language is more difficult for her, it's harder for her to think about what makes sense.
Okay.
She's still trying to figure out, like, where most kids, they know how you would say that in conversation, but because conversation is not there for her, she does tend to rely more on memorizing some words. Like, she has to have both of those together. But I was just thinking about that today, how she is going to need, she almost needs to know all of the first grade high frequency words too, to continue to support her, because if she doesn't know a ton of those high frequency words, it's going to keep her from being able to kind of progress, because she has a harder time thinking about what would make sense, or how would you say that?
A conversation? Okay.
Yeah, like if you're reading a book and she comes to a word and she gets stuck, you know, use the first, you know, like a lot of teachers will give the prompt, you know, use the first letter and think about what would make sense. And for her, that's...
like the context.
That's really difficult. That would be difficult for her. So it would be helpful if she got to work on more. She needs to kind of keep working on those high frequency words.
Awesome.
It's going to be really key for her. So
it's good that you know that. Her mom's got it down. Awesome.
Yeah. I shouldn't. I was a teacher, so I should know.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I'm a literacy coordinator.
Are you?
So
okay. I picked the right thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
So if I didn't know it, I would be in trouble.
Oh, that's so cool! Wow, awesome. What grades, or is it more towards literacy?
I was intermediate. I've been trained at Ohio State,
awesome.
So I'm a literacy collaborative literacy coordinator, grades 3 through 5.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, but yeah.
Very cool. Okay. Well, have your children ever wowed you with a word like that you didn't think that they knew, and they just said it, and you were like, "Wow."
Occasionally.
I think so too, and like spelling them too has been neat. You know, like I think it's seeing them spell them.
Sometimes like, where did you get that from? Like Lucy says, "Holy moly!"
Yeah.
You know, it's like, where did you get that from?
Where did you start saying that? Right. I had a sister. One of my sisters. She started saying perhaps, and like we don't know why, but she was like 5, and perhaps was the word. So.
And Simon's just like, actually, Dad.
Yeah, Simon does things like that too. He says stuff like that all the time.
It's precious. Awesome. When your children first started speaking, did you have any trouble getting them to speak at first, or did you have to like encourage a lot, or did it just come for them, or?
With Lucy,
We had to encourage.
We had to encourage it, but it's almost like hers is more the intelligibility than it was. Like, I mean, she was trying to speak, like, if I'm remembering it correctly, you know, trying to speak, but just if you could understand what she was saying, was big. And, but with the boys, they both of them had kind of a typical speech development, so it's a good time.
Where do you like to find books for your children? Do you like to go to the library or the school library? Do you own books that they like?
We own books.
Oh, wow, awesome.
Yeah. We own books for the most part.
You go to the library on a regular, especially in the summer. You go to the library on a regular basis. And Lucy brings home books from school to the library. And then we're part of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Have you heard about that yet?
No, I haven't.
It's a United Way thing where if you just sign up for it, it's free. There's no requirements. You live in Knox County, and the kid has to be under 5.
Okay.
They send you a book a month.
That's
From
sweet.
for the day they're born until the day they turn 5.
Oh, wow.
And they're like really good books.
That's cool.
Ferdinand and all these.
Yeah.
So how does it work? Like, do you have it for a while and you send it back?
No,
Or do you
it's
actually,
yours.
they actually send it to you?
Yeah.
That's really
so
cool.
like Simon and Ian were both on the list, so we got 2 books a month,
That's really good.
and they were both.
wow.
You know,
House to house, like from the Dolly. They send it to every month in the mail.
Oh my goodness.
There's usually
That's
something in the
really
front
cool.
cover, so you see the Dolly Parton thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
Knox County started a couple of years ago, so a lot
So
of
it's
counties.
from 0 to 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
every month, so you get technically, 5
5 times 12.
60 books per kid.
Wow,
If you sign them up
that's
right
so
away.
Cool.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
get
Like we signed Lucy up when she was 4.5, so she got like 3 books.
I
Yeah.
don't think she got any.
That she did.
I don't think she got any.
That's
It's just
really
Simon and Ian.
So every month they get a happy birthday, or a
Little book
present in the
present.
mail. So
Yeah.
it's really,
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. I'm gonna have to tell people about that so that they know.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But I think the public library can be like. I don't like personally. I don't like finding books at the library because it's so overwhelming.
Right.
And I kind of feel the same way, like, about kids' books, too. Like, if I know the kids want something specific, we'll go there.
Mm-hmm.
But usually if it's a book, too, that we're going to read together, it's usually either one that maybe Lucy would bring home from school,
Right.
or it's one that's on the shelves. But we'll go there sometimes. Usually at the library, my kids tend to that's where they'll get their nonfiction books.
Okay.
Because it'll be it's an easier something to find. What are they interested in reading about? What do they want to
Right.
find a book on? And so we'll go there for that.
Awesome. Let's see. Do your children enjoy sending like text messages or emails, or do you ever let them type around, or no?
not yet.
Not yet.
They would like. They tried to.
Oh, Lucy sometimes sends texts on my phone. Just a complete X, and she's pressing buttons, and it somehow sends a
It
text.
sends, yeah.
Yeah,
They would love to be able to do that, but we haven't.
introduced them to that wonderful world yet.
I know.
It'll happen soon enough, and then you'll wish it
Exactly.
hadn't started. Let's see. Have you ever, we talked about it a little bit in class, but have they ever worked with, like, the grocery list? Like, helping, like, create it, or, I don't know, like, when you're going through the grocery store, like, they look for certain things, or, I don't know if you guys do that.
I mean, maybe.
They want certain things at the grocery store.
I know they do want to do things at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've done that necessarily before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's always. I mean, it's always interesting when there's 3 toddlers.
Yeah. In a grocery store.
So sometimes it's just you just in and
Just
out.
Live.
you,
Challenge.
you just survive. Yeah.
I understand.
You're doing what you can.
Yep. Let's see. Have there ever been times where you're just like one of your children is trying to say something to you and you can't understand them, and it's frustrating, like you don't know how to communicate
All the time.
all the time?
Yeah. It's pretty constant with Lucy. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's often with Lucy because of her speech.
Right.
And Ian, too, a lot.
Ian, too.
Right.
It's not as much. I mean, Lucy's the most difficult to listen to.
Right.
And Simon usually can figure it out almost all the time.
Yeah.
Have you found like ways to like, I don't know, to help with that? Like, do you use any like hand gestures or like, I don't know?
It's usually just repeating.
Okay.
Repeating until we get it. And Lucy's very persistent at it. She wants you to understand.
Yeah.
Well, early on with her, we did sign language a little bit.
Right.
But she was good enough that we kind of dropped that right away.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need it, but it's still sometimes like Andy. And if you know the context of what she's talking about,
You
or
can
even
kind
with
of
Ian,
figure
you
it
just know
out.
that's so helpful.
Oh, yeah, if you know the context, you can pretty much figure it out
Yeah,
all the time, almost all the time if you know
Mandy's a lot better at
the
that.
context that it's in, but
What?
it is trying to figure that out. And with Lucy's speech therapist explains it, like, she is, like, she's pretty much intelligible, like, you can understand what she's saying, but her grammar isn't always right, and she often leaves off the first consonant.
Okay.
And so occasionally leaves off the first consonant. And so sometimes, like, our ears aren't picking up on those things.
Right.
And so, like,